everyone, it is I, your favorite perfect being, Cell, and Casual Geographic uploaded a new video, Why It Sucks to be Earth's Oldest Genius. A link to the original video will be down below as always, but I hope you're all having a perfect day. Make sure you kamehameha that like button, spirit bomb that subscribe button, and have a perfect day, damn it! Check out Operation Mitosis if you want to help support the channel. Why does the thumbnail look like Squidward?
Squidward.
I don't know!
Oh no!
But we're gonna get into it anyways. Hope you're all having a perfect day. Let's get this perfect reaction started, shall we?
No friends, no
Alright.
family, no wife, no life, underlooked, you're chronically cooked, abject, inept, disrespect, and often neglect. For an animal allergic to love, nature sure did consummate their
You're
misery.
looking like
The octopus
Squidward
is a
right now.
high-functioning, overachieving
Speaking of
tentacle
which,
slug.
hope
As
y'all
a
know
mollusk,
he
they have a
actually
family
is an
reunion more
octopus, not a
confusing than
squid.
Nick Cannon's, where they have everything from a venomous anime fighter jet to this thing.
What the?
Which means the octopus is basically an overqualified snail that lost cannons, where they have everything from a venomous anime fighter jet to this thing.
Whoa!
Which means the octopus is
That's
basically an
a
overqualified
clam?
snail that lost its shell and had to overcompensate. Now
That's
they do
a
have a lot going for
clam?
them. They wouldn't have lasted 300 million years of reverse plot armor otherwise.
YouTube,
Or
it's a
call it
clam.
cosmic calamari, the
The
way they
video
get
said
absolutely
so.
deep fried by fate. They're built
Don't
like malicious
demonetize
compliance.
me.
Like the
Don't
boss's brat demanded an
demonetize.
octopus
Do
and the
not.
developer had no
Do
choice
not.
and did so
It's
out of
not my
spite.
fault.
They're gonna learn that the animal sans a skeleton got entirely T-boned
Whoa.
by nature. It all starts when they're born. Octopus might just have the worst predator spread of any animal. Anything from cod, sharks, dolphins, stingrays, seals, sea lions, sea birds, sea otters, sea stars, eels, other
So if it
octopus, and
starts with
especially
C's-
humans, will all put an octopus out of order in the name of
Wait.
protein. Dolphins will even
I
tag
start
along
with
stingray
C.
hunts to allow the ray's electroreception to lead it to a hiding octopus. Mind you, stingrays are like 2D
I don't
sharks,
eat
and them and
octopus,
dolphins
though.
pulling up
I
is like
never
if the
tried
Reds and
talking
Blues of
about
Los
it.
Angeles took the day off to go boo the Clippers. But dolphins don't need help
might have to
humbling an
give it a try
octopus,
someday.
as dolphins have been observed tenderizing the underwater 8-foots by repeatedly slamming them. Sea lions got the same playbook, as they'll swim to the surface and also maul the mollusk, serving Suplex City so hard it wakes the ghost of Hulk Hogan. It's how animals with no forks or
Whoa!
knives can tear it into bite-sized chunks. But it also means octopus might as well be born with a shake before use label. But on the surface, it can look like an interspecies drive-by. Those are far from the only things that violate octopi. Sea otters are like waterproof wolverines that'll
Smack
rip into
the
octopus
shit
like
out of that
candy.
dude.
In some spots, they get targeted by
I
the
don't know
scissor
who to
jaws
feel
of the
worse
bobbit
for, the
worm. A
octopus
worm
or the
literally
damn
named after a
person?
woman who demembered her husband
Wait.
with a knife.
Whoa.
Or a eel
Whoa.
or a common literally named after a spots. They get targeted by like an interspecies
What is
drive-by.
that?
Those are far from
What
the
is
only
that?
things that violate octopi. Sea otters are like waterproof wolverines that'll rip into octopus like candy. In some spots, they get targeted by the scissor jaws of the bobbit worm. A worm literally
Bobbit?
named after a woman who demembered her husband with a knife. Moray eel are a common
Bobbit
octopus,
worm?
and they even have a
Straight
second
up
set of jaws in its
alien
throat to
movie.
keep
What you
struggling prey
talking
in its
about?
custody, which seems like a
That
suspiciously
looks like
specific
some
middle
sort of
finger
jump
to a
scare in
certain
a
boneless
hentai
entree.
game.
Even
What
the
the
things
hell
that
are you
seem like
talking
an
about,
easy lick
Casual?
can game over an octopus. In real life, Squidward would have had Mr. Krabs meeting Miss Puff's husband first chance he got. Crabs are like the potato
Yo,
chips of nature, and
facts.
one-on-one, an octopus isn't losing that matchup unless they happen to get cheap shot by forces beyond them. But that's for one crab. An army can easily
Facts.
overwhelm and eviscerate the octopus, who manages to suffer from
Oh,
crabs while
damn.
only being screwed by fate. They have a similar issue of getting jumped by leather jackets. And I don't mean a bite gang, I mean literal fish eating it alive. Some octopus will try
damn.
their luck against an unassuming shrimp until they get served an appetite suppressant in the form of a bullet fist.
Oh,
It's so
yeah, I
bad,
remember.
it's confirmed
The
octopus
mantis
have
shrimp
night
got a
terrors about
powerful
being
hit.
eaten.
I'll give it
Some
that.
filmed going from deep sleep to suddenly thrashing
Don
and inking
Don taught me
themselves.
that.
And if PTSD ain't bad enough, octopus can OD on that same ink. I was not kidding
What
about
the
malicious
hell?
design. Imagine your biggest hater being your own creator,
Yo, no
because the
wonder
octopus seems to be at
Squidward was
war with its own
panicking.
anatomy. Let's count the
Dude
ways.
was tripping
Octopus
on
will
his
use
own
ink as a
supply.
smokescreen to escape, but if they can escape their own bomb, they'll suffocate and meet Nemo's mom. Self-toxic ink is just where it starts. Octopus got no bones, no armor, no nails, just a massive chewy gelatinous protein. They do have a powerful bird-like beak, but a hitbox that small
Yeah.
and a hurtbox the size of Madison Square Garden is deplorable design, and their build means virtually any shot you take is a headshot. Another thing is,
Yeah, pretty
octopus have 3 hearts, 1 central and 2
Trypophobia
branchial hearts to
warning.
pump blood to the gills, because apparently 300 million years wasn't enough time to make
I have it
oneself
myself,
functioning.
that's why I
And while
say.
that's kind of a joke, what isn't is the fact that them swimming fast takes so much energy, the systemic central heart literally stops beating. They count on cardiac arrest to get to where they want to go, meaning an octopus can be swimming for its life, even at maximum effort. Their best attempts are half-hearted. Octopus proved that a lot of us had evolution wrong. It's not survival of the fittest. It's just barely being good enough to keep the wheel going. And if that doesn't
Yo,
prove
that's
it, their
facts,
brain
though. We all
does.
tried
Not
that.
intelligence. I mean the
We
literal
all just
donut
tried
that
to
has
keep
its
that damn
esophagus
wheel
running through it.
turning another
Octopus
day.
risk brain damage every time they eat, and they're always a piece of food too big or too sharp away from factory resetting their entire personality, which is why they have the razor-sharp radula, the answer to a problem they never even asked
Damn.
for. That's not the only thing that can bring on cephalopod CTE. Since octopi can't thermoregulate, sudden changes in temperature can also cause significant brain damage for an animal that lives in the ocean. But remind me to
Damn.
get back to that. But none of that can top the fact that nature gave octopus a built-in self-destruct button. Senescence
You
is the
said
process of
built-in
deteriorating with
self-destruct
age,
button.
the withering
How
of
the
functional
hell-
characteristics in living organisms. Basically what kids think turning 30
By the
is.
way,
It happens
he
to
made
everyone,
a
but
life
nature
of
chipped
an ant
octopoda with a kill
as
switch.
well.
It's no secret that
So,
making babies
as
is
a
the last
cicada,
thing an
I feel
octopus
like I
will
need to
do,
react
as
to
the
that in the
process seems to
future.
give both
Just
parties
letting y'all know.
dementia, as they lose all sense of self-preservation. Symptoms of senescence include lack of feeding, skin around the eyes retreating, white lesions forming, and awkward, uncoordinated movements, almost like
Damn.
they have no purpose beyond this point. But some seem to actively crave the sweet release, since captive octopi have been seen trying to rush the process by banging into sides of their tank, tearing off pieces of their own skin, and even getting their tentacles tangled. And it all begins with these two guys. They're small, but they got big plans. Those are optic glands, and they're the double agents that lie dormant
Okay,
between
I
the
thought
brain
I
and
might have
optic
been
lobe
something else,
until they
Daddy.
get active, usually around the same time the octopi do.
I
And
know
it's
my
believed this triggers them
biology.
to produce more steroids and boost cholesterol. Specifically, scientists saw more activity in the genes that produce neurotransmitters called catecholamines, along with steroids that help metabolize cholesterol. What does that all mean to you? Well, catecholamines are hormones like your epinephrine and
Okay.
dopamine, basically the fuel to your fight or flight. And in octopus, their job is to redirect energy away from eating and, keeping themselves
Okay.
alive and put it all into raising their own. Especially since that same optic gland will also secrete stuff to turn off digestion, which is why they starve to death. Not only that, but neuropeptides are what causes appetite and hunger, and they get turned off too. Yeah, they put the op in optic. It's a gland, but that optic got a
Bro.
lot of nerve. Because in 1977 in
You're gonna turn
Brandeis
off your
University,
stomach, pretty
psychologist Jerome Wodinsky
Your
removed the
ability
optic gland
and
from the
want
mother
to
2
eat
spot,
gets turned
and
off.
the outcome
That's
was they
crazy.
abandoned their eggs, continued feeding, and lived longer. It's literal predetermined self-destruction, and it's the worst kind. The Australian anti-kindness has a similar fate, since males will mate themselves to death, and an increase of steroid hormones in the blood is how
What?
the kamikazes can go all out. Those same steroids
What?
also nerf the immune system and eventually cause a total body shutdown as they get poisoned by their own supply. But at least when that happens, they've made it with as many females as possible. The octopus is very much one and done, and that's why it's survival of just being good enough. You can end up lobotomized by your own dental. As long as it happens after you breed, that's strictly a you problem. And evolution can't save
What
you from one of the
the
most
hell
toxic
am I
relationships
watching,
underwater as
guys?
long as it ends with children. Yes,
What am
worse
I
than the
watching,
anglerfish.
casual?
First of all, they barely
What you got
tolerate
me
each other.
watching, my
Lady
dude?
octopus will respond to male harassment by chucking shells like it's Mario Kart.
Yo.
Just when the male thinks he's in the lead, there's a
is
blue
not
shell for his
bust
blue
and
balls.
bust.
It doesn't get much better if Squidward succeeds, since many males are
Maybe
dwarfed
for
by
the
their mates
octopus,
and run
but
the
not
very
for me.
real risk of being cannibalized, leading to some very
Them poor
questionable mating
octopi.
methods. The blue-lined
Damn.
octopus will inject his mate with a venom while on top,
Yo.
a venom called tetrodotoxin,
They
arguably
last
the
one
most
gon' be
potent
the best
neurotoxin
one.
out there. It obviously doesn't kill her,
Ah.
but it does make the female angry enough to yeet the
Ah.
male off her back once she's functional again. That's why male octopus have a venom gland 3 times the size of a female's, because ducks have a coital curly fry to force the issue, while the octopus clearly listens to Rick Ross. There is a catch though. If the male doesn't envenomate her in the exact right spot, she can wake up early, and the best case is he gets some of his arms torn off. Of course, some, like an Argonaut, say screw
Whoa!
it, literally, and just hand the female his baby arm and swim away. A physical invitation to go feel yourself. After mating, the male
Bro!
basically waits to buy tickets to a
You
Tupac
gon'
concert. They go
detach
AFK, just a catatonic state
That
where they move
still
like an
blows
NPC.
me away.
Also, post-mating males don't
You
return to their
gon'
dens.
detach.
They don't even wait for death at home. They just circle the corner anticipating
Yo.
its arrival in the form of sickness, starvation,
Ain't no
or
way.
getting turned out by a
gonna
predator.
catch
The
me
mother
doing
doesn't
that.
get off easier, since she gives up her entire existence the moment the eggs come out. She'll spend all day washing them
What?
with her siphon and guarding them, all while not going out to eat once. Mothers will eat their own arms before they leave them alone for a second, and that hunger strike can last years. One deep sea octopus brooded eggs for a total of 53 months. Just
Whoa.
under 4.5 years. It was by far the longest brooding period of any animal, and she even turned down crabs offered to her by researchers. Like all octopus,
What?
once the eggs
How you
hatch,
gonna
the
turn
babies
down
swim
the
to the
free
surface
food?
and spend their early days drifting the current. And if motherhood doesn't murk her, the she-puss just
That
waits for
grand
something like a
thing.
pack of starfish to put her in her place. That place being past tense.
Nah.
It's the worst outcome of any mother, worse than cheetahs, hyenas, and even the sea louse. The payoff is all the
That's
kids she spawns.
crazy.
The giant Pacific octopus can have over 100,000 eggs, and some like this cyanea can exceed 500,000. With all these sentient grains of rice, about 1 or 2 will live long enough to repeat the cycle. Because as far as evolution's concerned, that's enough. From egg to adult, the octopus's short life isn't a total show. It's a septic symphony, and the biggest insult is the wasted potential. The octopus got straight up cheated, almost like someone knew there were a few
Yeah,
changes from
one
an
of the most
obnoxiously
intelligent
overqualified sigma
animals,
slug seriously
and it's got
bending the
such a
natural
short
order.
lifespan.
Octopus don't have hands, but they do have arms, and they'll throw them, with reports of octopus suffocating threats like dolphins and sharks. Specifically, an octopus was caught shoving its arms down the gills of a pajama shark, nearly putting it
Whoa!
to bed permanently. And speaking of sharks, that matchup isn't as one-sided as you think. In a Seattle aquarium,
Yo.
one octopus earned himself solitary confinement, and the reason was staff kept finding the bodies of dead, butchered dogfish sharks all over the tank floor until cameras caught the neighborhood octopus murking any
There was
sharks
an
that were put in the
octopus
tank
out
with
here
him.
murking
Octopus will
sharks?
scrub with sea lions with everything they have, and even ship-sinking stellar sea lions can struggle with a vindictive hors d'oeuvre. Even the symbol of America can get it, and there's at least one seagull with octopus in its obituary. Not to mention Neptune's
Yo!
hitman has enough awareness of human anatomy to attempt to play hangman.
Squidward,
But the
you the
octopus's
goat.
biggest
You the
flex
goat.
is their
You got this, my
shape-shifting.
dude.
Octopus
All
have
I'll
the
say
ability to
is
change
don't
colors,
detach it just
despite
for
being
Sammy
colorblind.
G's.
It's said that their skin may be sensitive to hues, shadows, and colors around them, and can
If you got
conform
the
to their
joke, you got the
environment.
joke.
Some, like this cyanea, can make hundreds of transformations in a day, but one octopus does this on steroids. The mimic octopus can not only cosplay as other animals, it'll purposely exploit their own
Damn.
fears. If a mimic's
I
getting
think that's
harassed
where
by some
FNAF
punk-ass
got the whole
damselfish,
mimic
it'll take the form of a
inspiration from,
venomous
'cause
sea crate.
it'll
And if the
actually
block's
mimic
real
other
hot with
shit.
predators, the mimic mirrors the biggest threat
This
in the
is
area.
always one
A
of my favorite
lionfish.
octopi.
But you can have all the
As
tools
soon
in
as
the
I
world.
found
It
out
means
about it
nothing
as a
unless
kid.
you know how to use them.
This
And
is
few
one of
things
the few
alive
I
are as
can
nice with the
actually
tools
identify.
as the 8-armed handyman. The coconut octopus got its name because it'll appropriate the shells of the fruit as a travel-sized panic room, pretty much re-equipping the shell
Nigga,
that
what
time
now?
took away from them. Some will go incognito by using shells
You
to
saying
hide
you
in plain
using a
sight.
coconut
They don't
shell
always
like
use
a
tools
damn
to avoid
snail
problems.
does?
Some, like the blanket octopus, invite them by stealing Portuguese man-of-war tentacles and practicing ocean open carry. And as predators, some have learned to drill holes in prey in the exact spot needed to neutralize them. They say octopus have the intelligence of
Damn.
a 3-year-old, yet man's moving like a pre-med major. And it's probably because
Damn.
octopus don't have one brain, they have 9.
If I had $1 for every brain you don't have, I'd have $1.
Each arm
Hold
basically has a
hold
mind.
up, hold it. I gotta pause for that. Right there. That is not something that I knew. You got how many brains, Squidward?
Of its own.
You
Because
got
octopus
how
have the
many
intelligence of a
brains?
3-year-old. Yet man's moving like a pre-med major. And it's probably because octopus don't have one brain, they have 9. Each arm basically has a mind of its own, meaning 2/3 of its own cognition lies outside its own head, with over 2,000
So you're telling me... Wait. 9 brains. 8 tentacles. 1 that don't get mentioned. You're telling me every tentacle has a brain along with the main head. So an octopus is a sea creature using its own form of hive mind. That's fucking awesome!
Because
Squidward out
octopus
here
don't have
got
one
9
brain,
brains
they have
and nobody
9.
knows.
Each arm basically has a
Low-key.
mind of its own, meaning
I
2/3
see
of its
why
own
the
cognition
video
lies
is
outside
named
its own head, with over
Earth's
2,000
oldest
suckers that all
genius
move
now.
independently.
You got
8
9
arms that
brains,
can
you
independently
damn
learn more
well
about the
smart.
world around them. A cornucopia of consciousness, a borderline hive mind. Y'all forgot about that
Yo,
temperature
what I
problem,
just
right?
say?
Well,
What I
octopus
just
can
say?
edit their own
What I
RNA
just
based on
say?
how hot or cold the water around them is. It's basically a built-in thermostat that protects them from breaking their
That's
brains.
crazy.
All that brain power is how a snail's uncle is smart enough to solve problems, and in some cases become one. Some octopus have learned not only when and where crabbers will show up, they'll time it just right to where they'll swipe the crab from the trap, disrespect Steve, his name's Steve's, entire livelihood, and
This
vanish,
is crazy.
leaving behind corpses. Octopus can
You're
also tell
telling
people
me.
apart, and sometimes they'll
9
end up having
brains.
beef with one in particular, and will squirt them and only them. Some don't even stop at people.
That's
Otto the
absolutely
octopus
wild.
decided he didn't like an overhead
Wait.
light, so he climbed to the edge of his tank
You
and
the
shot water at
underrated
it, causing the
character,
entire
SpongeBob,
aquarium
for real.
electrical system to go out. And he did this
You got
night after
named
night, repeatedly,
Squidward,
until folks
even
caught
though you're
on.
an
So why am I
octopus.
telling you how smart a Second Amendment
And you
slug
got
is?
9 brains?
It's because they could and should be smarter.
Damn!
Most high IQ creatures have 2 things in common. They're social and live in groups, and they live long. And sometimes those 2 things combine to form number 3. They're led by a grandmother. This means not only can they spend years and even decades learning, they can pass it down, building a generational database of knowledge. Octopus get none of that. Every octopus is born an
that's
orphan.
great.
It's like a video game with no save points. So every time an octopus passes, everything it learned along the way goes with it. So every octopus after it has to start from scratch. Which puts in perspective the insanity of what they accomplished in 2 years. And that's
real,
another
that
thing.
one's
They
right in
only
the
get a couple
fucking
of years.
shirt.
The intelligence of a 3-year-old just to end their
Yo!
trial to life after 2. If octopus lived longer,
That's
lived in
incredible.
groups, and weren't literal deadbeat parents, I'm talking like the Batman kind, it could get scary.
That's
and that's why I
crazy.
say octopus got screwed. Change 1 or 2 things, the entire food
That
chain might
right
fall.
there.
Like imagine if octopus just did the turtle
That's
thing, and just
crazy.
climbed onto a beach, dropped their eggs, and dipped. And it's not like octopus can't climb out of water. They can breathe through their skin
Yeah.
for a short
This
period,
is
and
crazy.
they'll use
They
this
can
ability
actually
to take
breathe through
lives
their
on
skin.
land. So why not create them? Except the
used to
soft bodied
think that they would
cephalopods would probably
suffocate
get put
on
on a
land.
shirt before they got far. If only they had like a shell or something to protect them. It's a shame nature never came out with anything like that.
gee.
And then imagine if octopus worked together.
just
Humboldt squid scare me for the
happened
specific fact that they
to
kill in
learn
packs.
how
There
to
has to be
steal
at least
shells.
one human who was jumped to drag to the
Yo,
abyss
they're
and hate
getting
crime by the
smarter. They're
Antichrist
trying to
calamari
lengthen
clan.
their
But
own
aside from violence,
lifespan.
imagine what a group of like-minded octopi could do. They might mess around and
And
start a
then they can
renaissance.
go
In
into the
fact,
sand like this.
what
They
if I
can
told you it's
burrow.
already started? In 2016, in Jervis Bay off the coast of Australia, scientists found a non-human settlement containing residents of gloomy octopus. Up to 15 of them, living on
What?
dens on top of scallop shells, doing everything from hanging out, communicating, to fighting, procreating, and even evicting particular offenders from their den. It's like an
What?
octopus suburb. It's a cephalopod community, and scientists named it Oclantis. And it's not the first. Octopolis was discovered in 2009, except Octopolis was founded around a huge
making
human-made
their
metal
own, like,
object. And no, they're not
dens.
actual cities, it's just cute to call them that, but you gotta ask, what are they cooking?
What the
One
hell?
can only pray they don't F around and invent capitalism. Cause the last way octopus got screwed by
real.
nature isn't actually natural, but it's by humanity. 300 million years of character development just to end up in a glass box is brutal. And thanks to pretty privilege, good luck getting the public to care about their mental health the same way they do with cats and dogs, despite arguably
Yeah.
being just as smart. And if an octopus can have nightmares and
Yeah,
predator
just as
PTSD,
smart, if
safe
not
to assume
smarter.
they suffer from being confined to a fishbowl, just like orcas. Except orcas are a lot louder about their displeasure. In fact, there's a really good chance octopus are fully capable of catching feelings and forming attachments. Remember that next time an influencer tries to mukbang one still alive. I guess what I'm trying to say is, octopus deserve way more credit than they
I'm
get.
sorry,
They're
but
really
that's
out of this
deserved.
world.
You don't
And maybe
try
that's
to
why
eat
the world
something
tries
while
so hard
it's
to
alive.
remove them. But yeah,
It's
that's gonna do
cruelty.
it for this video. Drink water, hug your mother, buy my book, spare a thought for the old octopus.
You made a
and I'm gonna
book!
see y'all in the next one.
See, that's definitely Squidward.
It's like it's like Davy
They
Jones.
look like googly eyes.
I remember these. People thought it was a
It was so
toy.
fake.
So some other aerobic
That's a
just
real
came
octopus.
before and just left it here.
It's like some little kid dropped their toy.
It's a stubby squid, but not an octopus.
He is awesome.
But still adorable. Well, everyone, I hope you all enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I did not know that octopi had 9 friggin' brains.
If I had $1 for every brain you don't have, I'd have $1.
That's crazy. Thank you, Casual, because you really do bring a lot of animal facts that I never knew. I didn't know till today that every octopus tentacle had a brain. Nor that the main... I would have believed that just the head had a brain. I would have believed it had one brain. You could have told me that and I would have believed you. But 9? 9? 9 brains! Squidward, no wonder you can play the fucking clarinet! But everybody, I hope you all enjoyed. Kamehameha that like button, spirit bomb that subscribe button. Be sure to check out the original video using the link down below. And have a perfect day. Check out Operation Mitosis, we're going viral. And again, have a perfect day, damn it! And I will see you all in the next one! Goodbye, humans!